Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Real Estate Show on KCMX News Media 880 and on YouTube at realestateshowOregon.com. Pete Belcastro here. Joe Brett's over there. Alice Lemus, Chelle Fowler. We're all John L. Scott agents here in Southern Oregon at the Medford and Ashland office. And today we've got a John L. Scott Market Watch show for you. We're going to update you on what in the world is going on in the real estate market here in Southern Oregon, Jackson, Josephine County in particular, because there's a lot going on, right? Start off here. First of all, Chelle, nice to have you with us. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
All right. The market's been what for you? Just tell us what you've been up to.
It's been great.
It
has been really great.
In what way? Tell us what does that mean?
A lot of buyers out there. A lot of buyers. There's sellers also. I mean, there's a lot of sellers, but there is a lot of buyers. I've been doing great this year.
Buyers are out there. You think it's true? I mean, they're coming from everywhere, and they are out there, right?
And they are in all price ranges, which is interesting. And it seems like our upper, more expensive markets are really the best deal right now because they've taken the biggest hit in our little price adjustment. But if you're in the 200 and 300, maybe up into the 400, there's not as much selection. It's still normalizing in those price ranges. But with interest rates down, you can still get some great deals.
So interest rates this week, I know at our office meeting, you get up there every week, and a whole range of rates are there, and they dropped below 4, didn't they?
I just can't believe it. Here we go. This is great. What an opportunity. It makes such a difference in a person's payment.
Yeah, well, I just had a client who just got a loan, closed the deal at 4.5%, and he saw it was below 3% now, and we're going, you got to be kidding me. What a deal. I mean, it's available that's out there for that right now. Anyway.
Well, and 4.5 is nothing to sneeze at. That's still like free money. A lot of us remember 11 and 16%. So
how long have we said this can't go on forever? And even as Pete mentioned, the forecasts were for this year to be normalizing back for the economy to normalize back towards 4 or 5% interest rates,
or maybe even 6. Yeah, which is still a good.
And we have not moved an inch. There's some underlying uncertainty or things in work there that are keeping that move from happening.
Yeah. Well,
get it while you can.
Yeah. A normal market, when we talk about that, is a balance where buyers and sellers have a roughly equal amount of negotiating power, right?
And it means days on market about 6 months.
6 months.
It should take 6 months, not 6 minutes to sell your house.
Well, it is. Okay, let me just give you some stats here. We started. You let me know what you guys think of this, because, again, our viewers and listeners are really good real estate consumers, because this information that we share with you each week is really telling. It really opens up the market for us. Jackson County, just to give you an idea of what it's doing on the month's supply of inventory, and that's important. Why? Well, because if you don't have it, it's just supply and demand. I mean, that's what that is. So in Jackson County, this is overall, but it varies by community and by neighborhood. But right now, if you're looking, Alice, Chelle, at $350,000 or less in a price, whether you're a buyer or a seller, there's less than a 2-month supply of inventory there. So that's really where most of the market is at right now, isn't it? That's where all the action is, right?
Right.
What are you seeing there? Well,
I'm seeing a lot of movement.
In what areas, though? Give me price ranges. Tell me what you're seeing.
In the 250 to 315 range.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of competition.
Yeah. A lot of competition.
Yeah, especially if the house is financeable, meaning it's in pretty decent shape. Right. Don't you think? It's like people will still fight over them. So we really have a dual market going on still, but that's part of what transitions are.
Huge pent-up buyer pool. We had buyer overload for a long time as well, and those buyers are getting their opportunities, getting in the game. Some of those prices are coming back down to where they can afford what they really want. And if they weren't under pressure to have to buy, that market really got out of their reach for a little bit, and they've been patiently waiting probably to get their opportunity.
Right.
And if they're first-time buyers, they're a little nervous anyway. Well, we're all nervous when we're buying a house, no matter how many. But if it's your first time, then sometimes you want to go home and think about it, and you can't really do that if their house is going to be gone tonight.
Yeah, you can't do that. Now remember, our market is that, as you talked about, Chelle, at that 250 to 350 range. That's where most of the activity is taking place. You're still seeing multiple offers in those ranges as we used to. I mean, or not?
No, I think we are.
Yeah.
You're still seeing some, okay. But when you go above 500,000, the market really changes, and it changes dramatically.
It goes to the dark side.
It goes to well. Now you describe dark side as being for the seller.
Well, and I was just
Right?
kidding. There really is. But it's almost like being in a swimming pool where somebody like dug the pool deeper all of a sudden, and it's in these darker waters where the buyers are negotiating harder. They're asking for more stuff, especially in the higher end. They're asking for furniture. They're asking for all kinds of things that you normally wouldn't, like tractors and cars. We had somebody ask for a car.
Really?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
in
in
the
$1 million.
driveway,
Yeah. So they did not get it. Don't do
But
that.
they're armed with that information that those high-end buyers are not moving.
Right, because they're
And
sitting on the market.
So if I want
All right.
to get a little,
It makes
little
them more
something extra,
bold,
That
yeah.
might be the time
All right.
to make that.
So
play
that's where the
at
dark
that
came
late.
from.
In Jackson County, there are 181 of the 1,200 listings. 181 of those are priced from $500,000 to $750,000. 59 of them are priced $750,000 to $1 million, and 27 are $1 million above. And those, it is definitely a buyer's market there because the inventory is now so high. The month supply of inventory is much, much, much greater than anything else.
That's why I
So,
want the
right?
car and the tractor.
That's why I want those.
Yeah, and it makes buyers more bold, and they want more stuff, and they want a really low price.
Yeah. And that's what
So-
you're seeing.
And in a lot of cases, they're
it
actually
is it.
getting it. You know, that's kind of the shocking thing is in some of these MLS meetings that we all go to, we're listening to agents announce price reductions of 30,000, 50,000, or more.
Yeah, well, it's happening out there as you can go. Well, we talked about new listings. There's a lot of new listings up in Jackson County. If you look at the stats, let me get it right here. Listings in May, right, month of May, are up 23% from a year ago to over 1,200. When we started our show, there was like 700.
Yeah.
Do you remember that
Yeah.
10 years
Mhm.
ago? There was
Yeah.
it's like almost
Yeah.
doubled.
Yeah.
Now, 10 years later.
Well, but I want to point out 10 years ago was pretty much the bottom of the crash.
Yeah, it was.
And
Yeah.
again, it's not to worry. We're not having, another crash, but that's a huge difference.
Yeah.
Huge difference.
and an incredibly volatile market span that we're talking about coming back, and the way the market roared back.
Yeah, it really did. It kind of went straight up for a lot of neighborhoods for 6 or more years.
All right. Well, what about that March, April, May? We always talk about those being the 3 traditional busiest real estate months of the year. So in Jackson County, in this last 3-month period, sales were actually down from a year ago a little bit. They were almost even, but it dipped
Yeah.
down a little bit. But we always talk about the value, the median price. What has that done? The value. Remember, it was double digits for a while, which is way too high. All right. This last period, a 3.1% rise. Okay. It's better. It dipped below. It was negative last month when we talked about this. Remember?
But don't you think that's what a normal market should be?
Yeah.
Not double digits.
Oh no, double digits is not good.
5 is
Yeah.
fine. 5, steady 5 is fine,
Like a cap rate of 5.
Yeah, right.
I'm okay, but if it gets up into the 10, what happens is, you just start pricing people out, and that's too high. You can't sustain double-digit
Right.
increases. You just can't do it year
Not
after year.
Our
sustainable.
economy cannot sustain it. We don't have the jobs and the workforce level jobs to sustain the rise in the prices that we've seen, and we're pricing out some of the folks we really want to stay, which are the younger and the first-time home buyers who oftentimes are forced to go away, make their money, and then be able to afford to come back home and
Yeah.
have their own place.
New construction, Shelley, you getting any demand for new construction from
Yes.
buyers? Tell me what they're asking for and seeing. Into that thing this week, I can't hear you.
All
Okay, I
right.
got to talk right into it like
So,
this.
New construction, I see a lot of new buyers, first-time home buyers wanting new construction.
Really?
Because they don't want to do any fix and flip, and they want turnkey.
They want to walk into a home ready to move into, which tells us, remember, we've been talking about move-in ready. If you're going to sell a house,
That's
like you
hot,
talked
yep.
about the one that you've got, Eagle Point, whatever, if they're not move-in ready, they don't want them, right?
Correct.
Or they're going to really demand, negotiate a better price.
But isn't that interesting though? Because in the past, our experiences, first-time home buyers don't usually aim
for
that
new
high.
construction. Yeah,
Right.
surprising, yeah.
And then that way they could pick out what, the color of the carpet, the
Yeah.
tile. There's, more tile than carpet now.
There isn't much carpet around. Yeah, that's true. Well, surprisingly so. Okay.
And
Yeah.
they probably have to make a concession on how much size they have, but they get a new home that they don't have to move. They want to do. They want to move in and enjoy this home for the next 7 to 10 years to 15 years. Who knows? If it's brand new, it really serves your purpose as well.
Well, if you're selling, the houses really need to be move-in ready. In fact, next week, Travis Hand from Rogue Valley Association of Realtor instructor and an inspector that we've all had before is going to join us to talk about some of those things in your home, because if you deferred maintenance that's the biggest deal killer, I swear, over the years that we've come to really appreciate how important that inspection and getting it ready to sell, because man alive, today, as you say, if it's not move-in ready, you're not going to get the price that you want, and that's kind of the bottom line message today.
Well,
right?
and the buyers are really negotiating hard on those repair addendums, even in the lower price ranges. They don't want to mess with it. And you can almost spend more of everybody's energy dealing with the little leak under the sink than the initial price negotiation.
Correct.
And in Oregon, they have the right to walk away. You can lose your buyer over a silly little leak in the sink.
Yeah, absolutely you can. New construction, we've talked about that. It's up 8% in value over a year ago. In Jackson County, in that 3-month period, remember we had no new construction in 2009, 10. It was zero. The pages. These pages had zero new construction. Today, it was 101. That's still a lot. To me, that's a lot. 42 of those were in East Medford. So East Medford's still about half of the new construction total. Let's see, Eagle Point's usually a big place too, isn't it? 10 and 11 in Southwest Medford. Those are the top three.
But there are a bunch within a quarter mile of Pumpkin Ridge, Arrowhead, and the new developments.
That's where all 10 of those are, yeah.
Yeah, they have come on in the last week. So,
Yeah.
boy, they're getting finished and they're coming on, and there's more in the works. They're moving dirt. There's homes that are framed already out there. It's a big push.
Boy, I hope we're not overbuilding or we're doing that kind of thing.
No, we didn't. But you just mentioned we didn't build for 4 or 5 years.
We still haven't
hardly
caught
a-
up.
a
Okay,
house. So,
But we need-
we're going to grow as well.
we need multifamily units. We need lots of different
balance
housing other than
of
just what
housing.
we're getting, though, and that's where I wish we had stats that could, demand about the use or the demand for multi-units, smaller places that are not being built or that is not being met. Anyway, that's one of the.
But like Shelley said, even the first time home buyers are coming in and making requests for new construction, then that's normally the buyer's market for some of our older, more entry level properties, and they're not bidding on that. So it kind of is shifting to more competition to the newer construction, and that is having a direct effect on the prices in the neighborhood for existing homes. So if you're trying to sell and you're thinking you're going to get a first-time home buyer, you need to think again, unless you're freshly painted, all updated, because you got to compete with the new girl on the block.
Competition. It's called supply and demand and competition, and it works. It's amazing as it goes. We got a break coming up here today. We're talking here with Joe today. Alice Lima, Chelle Fowler is here. Pete and Joe, the real estate guys. Check out any of our past shows at realestateshowOregon.com. You can sign up for our newsletter there as well. Got lots of good information for you every week. We are taking a break. We're coming right back to KCMX and YouTube right after this. Welcome back to the Real Estate Show on KCMX News Media 880. Pete Belcastro, Joe Brett, Alice Lima, Chelle Fowler here today. All John L. Scott 80s on a Market Watch show for you today. A lot of activity going on this week. You were at the Ashland meeting this week at 18 homes on the
18
tour.
homes on tour, yep, and I saw 15 of them. Because like Shelley said, there's a lot of buyers, so yeah.
You're looking for buyers,
Looking for
absolutely.
buyers.
There's a lot
Plus, you'd like to look.
Well, who doesn't like to look at houses? Everybody likes to look at houses.
Don't forget the John L. Scott Extravaganza open house deal tomorrow, 1 to 4. There's tons of houses that are open all across Jackson County. And so you can check out the Mill Tribune's insert tomorrow in the paper to get those things out there. And Joe will be out one as well. So, you participate in those things, and a lot of activity going on. Okay, back to our stats here again. We're just kind of going through them for you because it gives you a good opportunity about what is happening in the market. So far, we found interest rates are below 4%. That's good. What else which we talked about?
Well, we have more supply.
Inventory is way up. Okay, we know that.
Prices are down.
Prices are
in some
areas.
area in some areas.
in some neighborhoods. Pending sales.
Pending
All right?
sales are down in
Pending
some
sales are,
some neighborhoods.
Overall, they're up just 2% from a year ago in May. Down in Ashland, 13% pending sales. The biggest winner was West Medford. That's where you live, Joe. That's where you're at.
Southwest Medford.
Southwest Medford. That's the biggest. That's the biggest gainer. Anyway, that's pretty cool.
47% pending sales increase in West Medford.
Yeah, 47%.
And that's, a lot of first-time buyers, a lot of investors.
Yeah. That's where they tend to,
The
gather
first-time
a lot
home
of
buyers
time.
that are not buying Chelle's new construction.
And a lot of homes that have been refurbished in West Medford that are coming onto the market.
A lot of rehab.
Doing some of that.
That's good because they're being scooped up, and that housing is really
Yeah.
needed. That we have days on the market. We always talk about this. If you have a listing and you've been on the market for 60 days, your price too high, right? Isn't that kind of the normal thing? Because the average day on the market is 34 days, and so if you're way over that, you got a problem somewhere.
Right.
It's either too high, not in good shape. What else?
Smells bad.
Smells bad.
That's my pet peeve.
Looks bad or whatever.
Or there's actually something wrong with it. But I want to point out that a normal market is 180 days. That's 6
Right,
months.
that is.
But having
We've
said
been
that,
spoiled. Sellers have been spoiled.
yeah, in our accelerated sellers market. But having said that, even in the bottom of the crash, you should have still sold your house like in the first month or two, or known why it hadn't moved. Don't you think, Shelley?
Right, I do. I think some of the houses are just unique, and it just takes that right buyer. Yeah.
To do it.
And also, I wanted to mention, I think the millennials right now, they are buying brand new construction, turnkey ready, to where I'm finding that Generation X and the baby boom, not so much the baby boomers, but Generation X is looking more into, let's fix and flip this house. Let's do a 203K. Let's do a 203K loan.
Those are
with-
loans to repair loans.
To repair the house
All right.
because they want the larger property.
All right.
That is so
Right.
interesting, though, because the Gen X would be the parents of the millennials. So that
They
would
need
be
the big
like
yard.
the
So that-
50
Yeah.
50
But
somethings.
I would be in the baby boomer deal. I don't want a bigger place, right? I want a smaller place now.
But that's three
Yeah.
very distinct
Generations.
what would you say? Three distinct generations looking for three distinct kinds of homes.
Properties,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
And they're all
much
very
so.
different.
Very different, totally. But back in the days in the market, it varies by area, from 57 days in Ashland to 109 days in Shady Cove to 9 days in White City. Okay, so just it varies across.
But see,
that.
there's a lot of new construction in White City.
Yeah, absolutely. Buyers and sellers, we talk about negotiating power during the last period. 97% of the asking price the sellers are getting. So that's I think that's healthy. I mean,
down from
Yeah,
a year ago.
if they, but
they
if
were getting 98, about 98%.
and not as
now.
many price reductions.
Yeah.
So now they're getting 97% of their last price
Of your
reduction.
last price reduction.
Right.
Remember, that doesn't give you, if you've come down 5 times and then you get the pending, it goes off the last list price and not the first one, So in some ways that's kind of a skewed information, but it's still very helpful. Available homes per buyer was up, so there's again continue on with more inventory available out there. Available homes per buyer. Month supply is also up, as we say, and affordability is actually improved, which surprised me.
A little bit.
So maybe we're getting caught up a little bit here because affordability has come more in line with what we wanted to have. And to tell you about activity, and this is really interesting to me, and you can just see this, Joe. This line, it's not in color here, but this shows how many, over almost 11,300 key boxes were opened, which by agents showing properties. Exactly what Shelley's saying. That's how many buyers are out there. I have never seen 11,000 hit. I've seen it in 10,000, but I've never seen it go over 11,000. So that again is showing that the buying activity out there by agents is really strong right now.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Seeing multiple offers. So-
We want people to be there. We want people to be able to go look and see, and that gives us a really good opportunity to do that. I like that. Rural properties. We haven't talked about those for a while.
Yes.
They're my favorite properties of all, and they're still struggling.
Yes, they are, but we're starting to get a little more demand for it because the interest rates are down. A lot of those real properties are more expensive. And they also take a certain buyer who can deal with that size of a property. So now that the interest rates are down, I think we're going to see a lot more activity.
All right. Well, the price change in the period that we go overall in Jackson County, rural properties are down 4%, a little over 4%. That continues. They've been negative now for a number of months.
But there is a prediction sorry.
No. I was going to say, but it's in the higher acreages that it's down. The under 5 acres are still going, fine. It's the higher acreages that where the cannabis world, I think, has some influence in there.
That is exactly
Those are the
what I
ones
was
that
going
are
to say.
down, don't you think?
Words out of my mouth.
Did I? I'm sorry.
No, that's perfect.
But that's true, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, and I think as the nation moves to make cannabis legal nationally, then we're going to see the prices go back up. But right now, there's a glut on the market for that kind of farming activity.
Mm-hmm.
And so we need for that national standard to be released so that it can cross state lines and there be more open commerce and banking and that sort of
And
thing.
some ahead of the game saw the glut coming have transferred to hemp fields.
Hemp is big,
It's
and it
big,
doesn't
it's
have
the
the
same good
same.
growing conditions and not some of the implications that the cannabis does.
Is that what we're seeing all over the valley
and those
right now? with
overpriced,
those
there was, of course, the real properties are down because they were so ungodly overpriced
Right.
and bought out at such a big price. But
Are we seeing hemp? Is that hemp
Big
growing
time,
in all
yeah.
these fields around the
Oh,
valley?
they've got signs
that
posted.
have those long
You bet.
strip things down them. Is that hemp?
no,
Like we're seeing
no.
even across here from
No.
the station?
No, out by Hanley, no.
Okay,
no.
all right. I thought maybe that was
But
hemp.
there is a huge hemp farm right across the street, kind of by the Medford National Little League fields, and
Okay.
I've seen several others out on South Stage that have all transferred. And they put up big signs and they say, "There's no THC in these plants. Stay away. Leave it alone.
Yeah.
It's of no use to you." Except if you're in the hemp game, and that's an industry that's booming, and the federal regulations are much more lax, and the opportunity to do business
Yeah.
is
Well-
great. So we may see some more of those rural properties if they aren't already wiped out by overbuying and being wiped out of the glut of what they thought the profits they were going to get.
Well, and for the first time ever,
Dried
we
up.
have some of those kinds of growing properties coming back on the market that have already been developed, and that wasn't the case because we had the first phase of that industry
Yes,
growing,
yeah.
and now we have some really big companies, like the company that owns Walgreens, I think, CVS
Okay.
is has just announced they're going to be putting CBD products, the hemp
Those are huge,
derivative, in their drugstores. They're going to have beauty products.
Really?
They're going to have pain, kind of lotions and soaps and things like that.
That's where the economic part of our valley, to me, the future, and it's going to be in hemp productions, is producing of these kinds of products here. Let's don't send them out to the valley to do it. Let's make them here. But you're right. I was with some people, and they spent like $400 on CBD products
Right.
and things, because they love them. And I didn't experience any of this stuff before, but you're right. That's going to be a big thing.
And
I
my
think
mother
that's gonna be
uses it
huge.
for her arthritis.
Yeah, and
What an agriculture product that would be
many
for our
people
valley.
get really good results, is what we're
Yeah.
hearing in many of the reports.
I hope that's really true. Brett, we're talking about rural properties here again. They still sold quite a few of them. 133 of them were sold in Jackson County the previous 3 months. 132 of them were sold in Josephine County. That is the one area where the two counties, as different as they are almost equal in terms of what they sell in terms of rural properties. It just blows you away out of that thing. But again, their value is still not up with the residents, and so they're hurting. The median price is $394,000 for a rural property. Yeah.
So it's
Interesting.
probably a good time to invest if you want to be a farmer,
Yeah.
and hemp is a crop that you think you can be profitable in, or you want to do vineyards or something like that. I think this is a good time to buy those kinds of farming properties.
Local family farms are set to thrive. Local restaurants, even stores, want those products farm to table, and it's from your own company's business.
I was
yeah.
at Rotary, at the Ashland Rotary Club this week. The head of the farm to table thing for schools in the valley here announced that the legislature is providing $11.5 million to this farm to table school, which specifically goes for growing food for schools.
Makes sense.
which are going to allow farmers to do that.
Yeah.
So you have to give them an incentive. It has to be a financial thing
Sure.
to do that. So younger people are getting back into some of this too, which is really cool to see. So hopefully that's going to be a big thing in the future.
Hey,
I
and
sure hope
you
so.
don't need 4 big harvesters or,
No.
these small family farms are a lot of sweat equity that go into them, but can create a great commodity for our communities.
Yeah. Well, we're hoping that's going to. I hope you're right, and I love to see it. When we see FFA kids and 4-H kids, and
They're very good.
And,
Yeah. Very good at it.
I still go back to the fact that 40%, 44% of the sales are from out of town people moving into this valley every year.
yeah.
And if we do 3,500 transactions, that's a lot of new people.
New people.
And I think one of the draws is our more rural feeling. It's still got a small town feeling, but it has a lot of services like our international airport.
Great
we
medical services.
great medical services, and a lot of single story dwellings that if somebody's retiring here, that they can really partake of, and the farm to table. Being able to have clean air, clean water, fresh food.
I like it. It makes pretty good sense to us. And besides, our valley is a place that we have all chosen, and our listeners have chosen to hang out with and live, and we love it here because of that. And you're right, Alice. Clean water and all those wonderful things that we have. It's still a good place.
And we
Beats the city any day of the week.
We hopefully know not to take those for granted. We share them nicely.
No, and all right, we got a break coming up here. Again, we're talking today with Joe and Alice and Pete and Chelle Fowler is here. We're all John L. Scott agents talking about a market watch. We love talking about this stuff because we kind of do it every day. And we talk about this stuff. You talk about it 24 hours a day. Alice does in her sleep, everywhere. But what's really cool about it is that when you do it, you really get a good understanding of what's out there. Because in the bottom line, whether you buy or you sell, rent or invest, we want you to be a smart consumer and know what in the world's going on. It's a lot of money that
Could
you're
be fighting
spending, right?
chance. Yep.
Lots of money that you go through, and the hours and the time and the stress. And he wants you to do it right. We got a break coming up here. We got one more segment to go. Check out any of our past shows at realestateshowOregon.com. We're coming right back to YouTube and to KCMX right after this. Welcome back to the Real Estate Show on KCMX News Media 880 here. June the 8th is our show date today. Pete Belcastro, Joe Brett sitting over there. Alice Lima's right here. We're switching places in the future here as Joe is departing from us in the next few weeks. 10 years of this, huh? We've done this a long time.
We've done a lot of shows.
Almost 500 of them. You know
Yeah,
that?
I mean, I would add up the newscasts we did back in our previous life. I mean, we're probably, probably in the same ballpark.
We started this show. We were really young.
Yeah.
And now we've aged
Whoa,
10 years.
yeah.
Now look at us here.
Well,
So Alice is going to be joining us every week over here as Joe is departing out of the way there. So, it's
Big shoes to fill.
it's funny because
Our.
the three of us became agents at the same time, in the same year.
yeah.
Did you know
In
that?
fact, our numbers are almost identical.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's really
Yep.
funny. Yeah. We've come a long way.
And Alice has made me promise to come back with planning commission, site plan, county planning items of
Because you
of
go to those
interest.
meetings. You tell people,
My
you go to
gosh,
those
We
meetings.
have 6 items for consideration on the site plan calendar this Friday, and the planning commission has at least 5 or 6 the following Thursday. In
Really?
Medford alone,
Just what are they of? Are they
And
developments?
These
I mean-
they're everything industrial zone changes to accommodate industrial growth, zone changes to get more units into land that's been held for a little while.
Wow.
There's a lot of effort going on to kind of maximize opportunities in some of the new building. You're able to get some more density into some of these residential lots.
Right, more density.
Yeah.
That's
the
gonna be
big
great.
thing.
And we need it. We need every
We
bit
need
of it.
tiny homes. We need the ability to do that.
Yep.
Incentives to do tiny homes, additions into my properties, etc. And the legislature is still working on it. I'm keeping my fingers crossed here that they will amend those rules to allow you in rural properties to add a second place onto your home
Yes, yeah.
for your mother-in-law, for your family, etc.
Boy,
That would
that
really help
alleviate-
rural areas immensely in rural communities.
And it would alleviate a lot of our need for housing.
Yeah, it would help.
That families could
Yeah.
provide on their 5 acres right now, very comfortably.
But we've had shows, with homeless villages, the kinds of things trying to help people do this along.
Well, and a lot of our elders that have had a farming lifestyle, they won't be forced to leave their home
Yes.
that they've been in for decades, and
Yeah.
they can have their family members around them.
Yeah.
Because I'm doing that myself. I mean, people are really trying to do that. I certainly sense a strong sense, and I don't know if it's because I'm getting older or whatever, but I see a lot of clients who are moving to be near family. whether it's the kids coming back here to live with, be by their folks, or the folks living to move to be by their kids. That is really happening a lot. I see that a lot, and I don't ever remember experiencing that so much before the last 10 years as we are now. Maybe it's because the economy is doing well. There's money out there. People are making these moves right now.
Yeah, they can afford to, and their jobs are better. They've got a lot more hope and a lot more enthusiasm to make those big changes, those big life changes. Cost money. People are nervous. They need to have some hope and some enthusiasm to go forward with those.
Retirement income is up, and so you can see that. You can do that.
My experience is if you want to see your grandkids, you better go see them because their parents are busy and they're running around 3 different directions and they have 4 different sports to get to that day or something like that. So you just
I
gotta-
also see multifamily use to where it would be easier for them to, when they're first purchasing a new home, where it's easier for their income, you know.
Right.
If you
For-
multifamilies
Right.
purchasing a home together,
Yeah.
you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, well, that's true. I mean, I think that's certainly an option.
They help each other
They help
Yeah.
each other out. Remember,
with the
you
mortgage payments.
be careful in co-signing with your children.
Yes.
We've been through that. Through that, be careful in co-signing, especially on property.
Any personal experiences?
Yes,
Share?
but it's property. If you sign with your kid, they could just go do anyway. You be careful
Yeah.
on co-signing with your children. I know it's so you want to
But if
do
you're going
it.
to cohabitate, you're in a much better position.
Yes, I mean just be careful about that. From
Check
experience,
with your
right?
attorney.
Yeah, it's out of that. What do you think is going to happen here the rest of the summer? I want to get your opinions of what you think is the things that our viewers and listeners should kind of be aware of. You think, in your opinion, coming up in the next 60 days, 30 days in the market?
You know, I'm seeing a lot of the sellers and their agents getting very real about the new price points and where the market actually is. And that's why we're seeing, so many big price reductions. They're just trying to find that sweet spot where the market is and get their home sold so they can get on with the rest of their life. So I'm hoping that we're going to see an uptick. It's been a little bit slow these last 3 months. It's supposed to be the busiest 3 months of our season, and it hasn't quite been.
It was busy.
It was busy, but it wasn't what we were expecting. It's not what we're used to. So I think there's going to be some adjustment just in people's minds, and they'll get more used to the new price points, and then we'll see it kind of click along at a steadier pace.
Do you see those prices steadying over the summer? Or even dropping a little
I'm
bit?
thinking we're kind of bottoming out, but that's just by Alice. That's just my prediction. And it's happening now, and the interest rates went down. So I think we're going to see, like Shelley was talking about, all those buyers really get out there and with the better inventory selection start snatching them up.
They're going to have to start buying, those buyers, right? I mean, they're looking. It's time to buy now because the inventory is there, right?
It'll soon be a buyer's market.
If you
here.
don't, it's not going to make it out of that.
And also, just pricing out an Eagle Point, just looking at getting prepared for listing out there, that new construction right around the corner from you, that plays a part and gives people options that you've got to be really realistic about because you're going up against a brand new home and they demand a higher price per square foot, and you've got to.
Okay, how do you deal with that if you're the seller?
You just got to be a little
Your
more
house
realistic
is-
about what's going to
Okay.
get your house to move.
Right.
Even though
Your
it's
house
only-
has to be moving ready, absolutely perfect,
Yep.
beautiful. When they walk in, they
Staged
dazzle,
nicely,
staged beautifully,
represented well on your listings, and
The photos are nice. You
yep.
want people to come into the house and
yes,
see it.
yes.
And the
Yeah.
yard work out front, I think, matters, and people sometimes save that for last, but you really do need to mow your lawn and sweep up the little grass clippings
Yeah.
and water the flowers and make it look pretty.
Make it pretty. Make it pretty for the buyers if you want to sell it. I put myself in. If I'm the buyer, that's what I want to see, right? I want to see those kind of
that
things.
mature landscaping, that's your attraction. That's what you've got going for you against those new ones around the corner that kind of just slapped a little sod in there for a lawn and threw up a fence and some things like that. I mean, you have something going for you as well to compete with. Just have to be realistic.
Oh, I love the competition. I
Yeah,
mean, the competition's fine. Don't ever back out from competition because you can still have ways that you can outdo.
Well, and
that
the consumer wins, right?
in the
Exactly.
end, yeah.
Yeah.
Shelley, what do you think the next few months going to be like?
I think it's going to be more of a buyer's market. I think it's going to stable out. I think the price is going to adjust, and with all the new people coming into the valley, I just really think it's going to become a buyer's market.
Okay, well, it certainly is. It has been that in the lower markets. We'll see, in the lower prices. We'll see if it goes into the higher range, because those are right now. Those are the places that are more available, more inventory there. Okay, the lower prices still Still busy. You're right.
Boy, but they're building them pretty fast. The
Really?
the Ripsom's construction on Aspen Street. You wouldn't believe how many are up and sold, and the ones that aren't even done that are pending.
Okay, and what are those prices on those?
Well, they are
325, 325,000.
Yeah, and then
Three.
Snyder.
And even, I've even seen the four bedrooms are up. A couple of the 4 bedrooms where
Yeah.
they had a bigger lot they had to use. But it's really interesting the way that they have planned them in to give each home a little privacy. But boy, they're going up fast, and there's more and more crews every day out there on those.
And they're
That
selling,
one project
and they're selling
as fast as they can build them.
There's lending going on for new construction. There's no
Yep.
question about that. The economy is doing really well here. People are making money, and when you do, you can afford to buy, and that's exactly what we're seeing
driver.
here. And that's what the market is supposed to do, right? I mean, that's what it's really about. So I think we're seeing some good times here. It's really funny. I was always the negative one for so long. Remember, I used to be really negative on this market. I'm not anymore. The economy's doing well. People are buying. There's inventory out there. We're seeing a lot of movement.
We're growing.
That's what's supposed to be. It's what a
Yeah,
market
we just
is
don't
supposed
know
to
what a
do.
normal market is anymore.
Yeah.
We all forgot.
Well, in 10 years, we haven't been able to figure it out
We're
yet.
we're getting a little reminder.
Here we go.
Remedial
Here we go.
lesson
But
here.
like Pete said, it's good. It's
Maybe
a
we'll
good
get
thing.
closer. It's a good time. So but the biggest thing is check with your agent. 4 of us here, we're able to help you as well as you can imagine here. We'd love to talk with you anytime about the market because this is what we do and this is what we enjoy. That'll do it for the real estate show today. Thank you all for being here. We will gather again next week. Travis Hand will be here from Rogue Inspections. We're going to talk about that particular issue of it. Getting your home ready, right? It's a big, big deal. That'll be next week. That show will be from the Rogue Valley Association of Realtors. That'll do it today for Pete and Joe and Alice and Shelley. Have a great week, and God bless you all.